Built-up necklines are the type of necklines that are extended upward beyond the neck, just like the one you're seeing on the screen. It can be at the front, and we can also have a built-up neck at the back. It can be asymmetric like this. It can be attached to a jacket or a shirt or any other type of garment. Today we are going to learn how to draft, cut and sew a built-up neckline, and here are the things I'm going to need. So I already have my African print fabric, also known as Ankara, about 1 meter or more depending on what you are making. Okay, and I already have my marking tools, my marker and my pen, a pair of scissors for the paper, my ruler and my curve ruler. Just basically the things that you are going to need for pattern drafting. And I already have my basic bodice pattern, both the front and the back. And before the shoulder line, you are going to have allowance at the top for both the front and the back, because you are going to be extending the neckline for both front and back. So you need the allowance at the top. Okay, so for the neckline, you can also have other type of neckline. It can be V, it can be sweetheart, or even keyhole together with a built-up neckline. So I'm going to be making use of this, my marker, just to make all the lines that we are going to be needing to be more visible. So the first thing we are going to do is to start by working with the back pattern. Okay, so at the front you can just alter your neckline to whatever you want, but we are going to be doing that later after we are through with the back pattern. So here now I already have my zipper allowance, but I'm going to use my marker, this is my red marker, to make the lines that I'm going to need visible, because I already alter my bodice. I already take my back tightening to avoid zip bulge, just like we do for our basic bodice pattern. All right, so if you do not know how to draft a basic bodice, you can let me know. I already have a video on that. I'm going to be dropping the link below. If this is your first time on this channel, you are highly welcome. Thank you very much for stopping by, and do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Click on the notification bell, so whenever I drop an interesting tutorial, you'll be the first person to know. And please do not forget to like and share this video, and also drop your comments. I really want to know your thoughts about this video. Thank you. I'm just going to indicate here that I have a zip allowance here, and that's all. So the next thing is to move to the neckline area to plot our neckline. The first thing you want to do is to come to the shoulder width and go out by 0.25. Then you mark like so. You can make use of your pencil just to draw the lines. It's actually a temporary line, but I'm going to be using my marker simultaneously so that we can see the lines clearly. So from that point now, you're just going to mark a diagonal line upward towards the center back, just like you see me doing. Okay, this line is just like a guide for us. It's not something really serious. Okay, so now I'm going to be using my marker to make it more visible so that we can see the lines. Okay, the next thing you want to do now, from this neck width, you're going to go in by 0.5 inch. From this 0.5, you're going to go up by 2 inches, meaning that you're going to mark 2 inches from that 0.5 inch you mark earlier. Then you're going to connect back with a straight line, just like you see me doing. Okay, so after this, now the next thing you want to do is to come to this center back line, and we're going to go up by 2 inches as well on the line that ends the zipper allowance. All right, so I'm just going to mark my 2 inches upward this way. Then I'm going to be connecting it back to this 2 inches on the neck width, just like you see me doing. After doing that, the next thing you want to do is to create a curved line. But firstly, I would like to extend this zipper allowance, but it is not a must. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is to come to this center back line, the very last line. You go down by 0.5 inch to create a curve or a bent or maybe a slant line on the back neckline. Okay, then you're going to connect it back to the tip of the 2 inches we measured earlier with a curve, just like you see me doing. You can make yours a slant line, and at the same time you can maintain this curve line. So from that point, you're going to connect to the 0.25 that we mark earlier. Okay, so you're going to connect it with a curve, just like you see me doing. All right, and after that, you're going to blend it in to the shoulder slope. All right, because it's going to be continuous. All right, so I'm just going to use this red marker to indicate the lines that we are going to be needing, or we are going to be cutting off. So all this line that I mark with red is what we are going to be working with. After this, you can decide to add your seam allowance directly on the pattern paper or you do that on your fabric. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing next is just to be cutting out my pattern. So please pay close attention to the way I'm going to be cutting the neckline. It's not that difficult, it's just as simple as that. All right, so guys, this is what the back pattern will look like. You're going to be needing 2 of this because of course our back pattern is always 2 because we have a zipper allowance. All right, so if it's going to be half bodice, it's just going to stop halfway on the waistline, and you're going to attach your lower part. If it's going to be a dress, if it's going to be a peplum top, and so on like that. So the front neckline, the first thing I want to do is to make my shoulder line more visible. Okay, I feel like it's not visible enough. Then the next thing we are going to do, just like we did for the back, we are still going to follow the same process. The first thing you want to do is to come from this neck width and go out by 0.25, then you come out by 0.5. all right, just like the way we did for the back. I'm going to mark my 0.25 like so. Go ahead and do the same thing. Then you come out, or you come into the neckline by 0.5. okay, so from this 0.5 we are going to be raising our neckline by 2 inches, same way we did for the back. But the first thing is to also draw this diagonal line, which is going to be like a guide. Okay, then after that I'm going to mark my 2 inches upward like so. Then I'm going to connect with a straight line. Then the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and decide on how deep I want the neck to be. So just like we have seen on the thumbnail, this is going to have a V neckline. But before that, I'm going to finish up with this side. I'll go up by 2 inches again. This is because we have 2 inches at the back as well. Then we are going to be connecting with a curve to that 0.25 we marked earlier, exactly the way we did for the back. This is not actually very necessary because we are still going to be reconnecting the neckline. It's just a guide. So from this neck depth, I'm going to go up by 2 inches and I'm going to connect to that 2 inches on the neck width. Okay, it's just going to be like a guide. After connecting like so, you're going to come out by 1 inch from this initial line. I'm going to mark the 1 inch like so. Then I'm going to reconnect back to the 2 inches on the neck depth. All right, so from here I'm going to connect down using my curve ruler. So the first line, you can either do a broken line or you just use your pencil to mark the line. All right, so from here now we are going to reconnect back to the shoulder. That is why I said the first line is not actually necessary, but it's going to guide you as well. Connect and blend into the shoulder slope. All right, so now we are going to construct our V neckline, and this is going to be starting from the shoulder line. We are going to decide on how deep you want it to be. So it is between 7 to 9 inches or 8 inches is okay. So from this center front, you go in by 1 inch, then you're going to connect back to the 7 inch you mark. Okay, this can either be straight if you want the V to be sharp, and at the same time you can create a bit of curve if you want to have a slight U, or you just don't want your V to be sharp. So just decide on whatever shape you want on the front neckline. Okay, so I'm just going to reconnect all my lines and confirm my measurements to see if they are aligned. Then I'm going to reconnect and blend all my curves and lines. All right, so that's that about the neckline. Now we are going to work on the bust dart. Remember, we have a bust dart on our basic bodice, and we also have our waist dart. So what we are going to do is to close the bust dart, because this is going to eliminate the difference between the front and the back length. So to do this now, we will have to open up the waist dart so that we'll be able to close the bust dart just like the normal way we should do it. Then we are going to be cutting off our pattern on these red lines. For that, we'll need to confirm the front and the back shoulder line. Okay, just go ahead and measure from the new neck length back to the shoulder slope to confirm if the both side aligns, because we're going to be joining them together. Okay, so that will be all. The next is just to cut out our pattern just like we have the shapes and the lines. Then after which I'm done cutting out the pattern, I'm going to transfer to my fabric. For the front, I'm going to cut on fold, and for the back I'm going to be cutting 2 pieces. So guys, I'm done doing that, and here is what I have. Okay, then I added my joining or my seam allowance all through. So on the neckline and the shoulder area, I added half an inch. Then as for the front, I also added my half an inch because I already have my seam allowance on the front. Then at the same time, I added my interface to the neckline area because I will not be using a lining. I'm just going to be cutting out a facing. So for the facing as well, for both the front and the back, I cut it out using my Ankara fabric. Then I added my fusible interface on it. So just go ahead and do the same thing. And if you want to use a lining, it's fine. Just cut your lining exactly the way you cut your fabric, and you're going to add your interface on both the fabric and the lining. Then I also have the zipper. It's 24 inches long, so you can get the zipper of whatever length you prefer depending on what you are making. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is to start joining our pattern or our piece of fabric together. So the first thing you want to do is to turn the necklines for both the front and the back. So I'm going to be placing my facing on the main fabric, right side facing each other, just like you see me doing. So then I'm going to be pinning it together to hold it in place. So the essence of your interface is just to give your fabrics enough strength that it needs to be able to secure the neckline area. Remember, the neckline is going to be firm, standing out on its own, so you need enough strength around that part. So I'm going to pin in my piece of fabric together for both the front and the back, and I'm going to stitch on 0.5 inch all round. So you do the same thing for the back as well. And as for the darts, I'm going to be transferring my darts. I'm not going to close the bust dart, I'm going to just stitch it. Okay, so I'm going to transfer all my darts to the front bodice and also to the back bodice. So after joining the neckline, I'm going to run my stitch on the dart line. The same thing goes to the back bodice as well. So I'm going to place my facing on the main fabric, right side facing each other, just like you see me doing. You need to mark and notch the neckline area so you don't get confused. Then I'm going to run my stitch on this top part alone. Okay, remember the front neckline is different from that of the back neckline. So here is the neck. All right, so this is where I'm going to run my stitch. So guys, I already did that, and here is what I have. As you can see, my sewing is alone on the neckline, just like I have here. Okay, so that is what you're going to do. The next thing, you're going to notch it and you're going to turn it around. Here is our zipper allowance. So if we get to that point, I'm going to show us how to go about that. And as for the front, I already did the same thing on the front. I run my stitch on the neckline area with the 0.5 inch allowance I added. Then after which I finished sewing, I notched this center part and every other part of it. So you are going to open press your seam and you push it out this way so that your seams can lay flat and you can have your shape, desired shape, or the shapes that you are meant to have on the neckline. Okay, I'm still going to take this to my pressing table and I'll iron it flat so that the shape can come out well. All right, so after this, now the next thing you want to do is to join the shoulder for both the front and the back. This time you need to take your time and look at what I'm doing. So when you want to join the neckline, you really need to be careful. Make sure that the main fabric is together and also the facing is together. So in case you're making use of lining, you make sure that it is lining to lining and main fabric to main fabric, just like the way you see me placing it on each other. Then after this, you're going to secure it with a pin so that you still have your piece of fabric intact by the time you want to join it together. So I'm just going to do this now for both sides of this because we are going to be having two sides, of course. And thank you for watching up to this moment. I really appreciate you guys. Please do not forget to like this video, share so that we can reach as many people as possible. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Click on the bell beside it so that you'll be notified whenever I drop a new video. So I'll join the shoulder area together for both sides. Then we are going to come back to see the outcome. So guys, I already done that, and after that I run my stitch on my darts. I transfer the darts from the pattern to the main fabric for both the front and the back. Then I stitch my darts. Okay, then after this, now the next thing I want to do is to close the neckline area. This is how the shoulder is going to look like, and as you can see, our built-up neckline is coming up already. So to close the shoulder now the next thing we want to do is to join the back, okay, using our zipper allowance that we added. So okay, so we are not going to be joining straight like this. We are going to be opening up our fabric like so. Place the center on each other and make sure that the facing is together, then the main fabric is together, just like you see me doing. The first thing is to place the center on each other like so. All right, so then the next thing you want to do is to come down by 3 inches or 4 inches from the center line. All right, depending on how close you want that upper part to be. Then for this one, I'm going to measure 3 inches from the center down. Then I'm going to come in by 1 inch. Remember, we added 1 inch for the zipper allowance. So if you added more than 1 inch, then that means you're going to mark whatever value you added for your zipper allowance, because we are going to be running our stitch on that line. If you take lesser than your zip allowance or more than your zip allowance, it's definitely going to affect your measurement. Okay, so from these two lines now, I'm going to run my stitch down to that 3 inches up to where I want my zip start from. Okay, so we are going to be fixing the zip upside down, meaning that the opening of the zip is going to be at the hem of the top. So I'm just going to do this quickly now, then I'm going to show us what it should look like. So guys, I'm done, and this is what we have. All right, so here is the 3 inches I marked earlier, and from there my zip started and it's facing down, of course, just like I've said before. So the next thing you want to do, if you are not working with a lining, or if you do not have a lining, you can just go and weave the edge of your fabric. And if it's a lining, of course, you are going to be doing an inseam finishing. If you do not know how to do an inseam finishing, kindly let me know in the comment section. So the next thing I want to do is to take my body circumference measurement and to fix my desired sleeve. So if you have any kind of sleeve in mind, kindly fix it. And I'm going to finish up with this, my raw edges inside. If you are making use of a lining, you might not need to just weave your fabric. So as you can see, the two sides are lined. This is because I already stitched in my both that, which is the difference between the front and the back. If you do not understand this, please kindly watch the video on how to draft a basic bodice. Here you are going to understand the reason why we need a bust dart. So what I'm going to do next is to take the seam allowance by the side. I already had 1 inch for the allowance, and go ahead and confirm your measurement if your measurement is still intact, in case you work with fabrics that phrase, so that you take your measurement and whatever allowance you have left is what you are going to use to stitch your bodice together. So, and on the hem of the top, I'm going to be folding my folding allowance that I added on the hem. Okay, so guys, after doing all this, I'm going to fix a cap sleeve. Okay, I'm going to drop a tutorial on that very soon, and I'm also going to finish up the hem. I'm going to take it to the pressing table. I'll iron it flat so that every shapes that I needed or I expected to have will come out. So guys, this is the final look or the outcome of what we have been doing since. If you want to have another type of neckline except for the V, you can totally have that. Just explore your creativity, make it into a dress, a shirt, or whatever you prefer. Okay, so with this, we have come to the end of this tutorial. Drop your comments, your thoughts in the comment section. Click on the like button, click on the share button. Let's reach as many people as possible, and please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell. Until next time that we meet, thank you.